The only thing I'm missing in that little entrance theme, I need a picture of Waffle House Girl, but she's awesome. I love Waffle House Girl.
Needs to be an IHOP, Phil. We've talked about this.
We know you love.
He made it.
Hey, what's going on, guys?
There he is.
Yeah.
Hey,
I was just finishing up some work stuff. And just got finished up. I mean, I'm still working, but I'm not on the phone. So
Cool.
I need a link to your stream so we can share it out.
Oh yeah, a link to the stream. You're asking me to do things that I have slowness to do because
I am looking for your channel on YouTube, and I'm not.
I just stopped it in the private chat.
Okay,
the channel
thank
is
you.
Release
Matt
McCracken.
Rissman, I got the man.
There you go.
So, guys, we're going to talk about Echo-based network.
I got the man. Yeah,
There is all about you guys today. For this hour, it's all about you.
Oh,
So,
yeah. No.
Well, I don't know if we could last an hour then.
yeah,
We haven't lasted
maybe
an hour
10 minutes.
in some time, have we, Coach? Well, it just depends.
So let's start out. Tell us how Nick and Coach started, and where you found your third wheel, Moff Rissman, at.
Third wheel.
Nick, you want to?
like you're asking like how we just started the channel.
Yeah, how you guys started. Yeah.
So after The Last Jedi came out, I was watching a lot of YouTube. Coach doesn't really watch a whole lot of YouTube. Even still, he doesn't really watch a whole lot of YouTube. But I watch a crap ton of YouTube. I found world-class bullshitters, geeks and gamers, EVS, Anna That Star Wars Girl, Nerdrotic, Doomcock, all the big channels we know today.
I had never heard of any of them.
Yeah, Coach didn't know who any of those people were. And so I was watching them and I was like, okay, there's a lot of people out there that feel the same way. Like, I'm not the crazy one here. Like that, there's a lot of people that feel the same way about The Last Jedi as I do. And Coach felt the same way. And so I don't know. Let's see. Last Jedi came out in December, and then April or towards the end of March of that next year, after The Last Jedi came out, I talked to Coach about starting a YouTube channel. I was like, dude, we should totally start a YouTube channel. Like, all these other people are doing it. They feel the same way we do. Like, we could do this thing and, have our own channel, and so we were like, all right, let's go ahead and do it. And
you mentioned it many times.
Yeah. I'd mentioned it many times, just kind of passing.
Let me kind of go back before that, Nick. Like, so me and Nick became friends when we were 12 years old because of Star Wars.
Yeah.
And, we talked about it a million times. We didn't like each other at all. And then one day I'm walking down an aisle in our class and I see Nick sitting there with a Star Wars book on his desk. And I was like, you like Star Wars? And he was like, I love it. And I was like, I like Star Wars. And we literally, like, the next week, we're best friends.
Yeah.
He comes over to my house. We start breaking out all of our old toys that we had when we were kids. And then we started collecting again.
Yeah.
It was kind of like we were a couple of years, we were both a couple of years removed. And I'm talking about when we were 12 years old. But we were a couple of years removed from playing with toys and we were moving into video games and other stuff,
hanging out with girls.
But when we became friends, we went right back to 5 years old.
Yeah,
with our love for the toys, and I had somebody that was like-minded with me, which was crazy. Somebody that loved the figures, and truth be told, Nick knew more about the action figures than I did. Nick had some of the figures from Power of the Force 1985 that I had never even seen. I didn't know they exist, and he knew the names of all of them. He took it to a whole nother level for me, And I started learning all that stuff, and he started learning all that stuff. And we, as life goes on, we move on to other things. We graduated high school the same year. We went to different high schools. We went to the same middle school. We went to different high schools across town from each other, but he was still my best friend. But like I went off to college, and Nick stayed home and started working and stuff. And throughout, he was doing the party thing and going out with rock
Big
stars
time.
and stuff. And I started my basketball coaching career and was consumed by that for 15 years. And through all of that time, anytime something big happened in Star Wars, it gave us a reason to call each other. We always stayed in touch. It gave me a reason more than just say, "Hey, man, I've been thinking about you." I was like, I could call him and be like, "Hey, did you see?" Yeah, "Hey, did you see this?" And it just kept us exactly how we are now. Anytime something big was happening with Star Wars, we would always holler at each other, and we were always best friends. So yeah, he wanted to start a YouTube channel, and neither one of us had any idea how to. None. Zero. No. And our earliest stuff is horrible.
Yeah.
Horrible. So like
couple videos,
-5 out of 100 bad.
Yeah.
Like awful. But we threw ourselves out there, and we started the channel, and we came up with the name, and I started learning how to broadcast. We weren't using StreamYard.
We were using that Google, whatever Google's thing was at the time that everybody was using.
Google Meets or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, they discontinued it, whatever it was.
Yeah, it doesn't even exist anymore.
Yeah.
But I learned so much, and that's the thing about me is like I'm very OCD with things that interest me. Only with things that interest me. If I'm interested, I'm hooked, and I'm obsessed big time. And I became obsessed in editing and broadcast, and it didn't take very long for our production on the channel to be better than what we were actually doing and saying.
Yeah.
We made it look better than it was eventually. But yeah, it was crazy.
Are you trying to say you did the lipstick on a pig? Is that what you're trying to say?
Pretty much, yeah. and we're still, getting better as we go on in time. And I mean, the stuff, I think the stuff we're doing right now is better than the stuff we were doing last year. It just we're constantly improving production quality and getting more comfortable,
try new things.
Yeah, doing stuff on the channel and just being out there and
it's
saying what we mean.
There's no like perfect way of doing this. It's constantly trial and error.
Yeah.
When it comes to live streams and videos.
Well, and as we've seen lately, right, it's trial and error and more than a little bit of luck, timing, right? The timing. Sometimes the timing means everything.
Yes, you can. Timing is probably the most important thing, because you could make the greatest looking video in the world, but if it's not released at the right time, nobody's going to see it.
Yeah, that's not even going to matter.
So really, you have to be prepared for the moment.
Yep.
And when the moment happens, when the time comes, and it's like, got to do it now. If your production game's where it needs to be, then you're ready. You know what I mean?
And then as far as Rissman, he just he found us. Well, we didn't really find him. He found our channel and then helped out as a moderator and helped out with a lot of the like the Discord stuff and
We
helping
had a-
us out with little stuff here and there, and then eventually he's now helping us a whole lot more all the time now.
He
Mhm.
was there was this influx of growth on the channel, and we had 3 or 4 people all show up around the same time that were really good in chat, and they were consistently there.
Mm-hmm.
So we gave them a wrench. So Rissman had a wrench with we had other people like Spock and Felix Kiros and Thrawn. But and I love them all. I love them all. They're all unique and different, and I have different kinds of relationships with all 4 of them. And I talk to all 4 of them, on the phone and stuff. But one of them is an awful lot like me, and he's very obsessive, and he's gonna be there, and you could absolutely count on him. And he does things without even things that we don't even think of. Matt does things that we don't. He does things that haven't even entered my mind, and he has always been honest. He started out helping with YouTube and being a moderator, and now we're friends, and he has to hear my phone calls every single day. I literally call him, just like I do Nick, every single day. I call him for something.
Sometimes we talk more than once. Sometimes it's more.
It might be
If you call him every day, you know the secrets.
every day.
What is the secret to Matt
might
Rissman
be to
being
tell him
so
that the-
shiny?
Yeah,
What is the secret?
Well, it might be to tell him that the Mexican didn't sit well. And I'm sitting on the toilet and I'm calling you. It could be anything, But he is in my circle, and I love it.
Do you get in arguments with him like I do? I always feel like whenever I meet Matt and I, excuse me, go at it about certain topics. It's funny.
I can tell when he is unhappy.
Yes, he can.
Yes,
Yes, he can.
me
I can
too,
tell.
man. Yes, me
Even
too.
with a video.
Yep.
Because I will get silence.
Mhm.
And I'm like,
It's true.
If you don't
I
have
know.
something nice to say, just
yeah,
shut up.
I know what he likes and what he doesn't. And
Yep.
it's just like,
Yes.
that's like when you know somebody, it's like, well, he ain't gonna like
Right.
this shit.
Exactly. Yeah.
So
Well, and also I know just because I don't like it doesn't mean lots of other folks might. Right? Doesn't
you-
mean it isn't
you're
going to resonate.
supportive
Or,
even
you
with
know?
the ones that you don't like. You
Mhm.
know, and
Yes.
and I get it. And part of that too is trial. It's part of the trial and error.
Yeah.
If you stick around long enough, eventually I'm going to say something you don't like.
Right.
That's human nature.
Maybe in a
Nobody-
very recent video.
Yeah, nobody agrees with everything somebody says.
All the time.
We're going to make some mistakes, and there's going to be some
No,
bumps in the road.
I still think it's funny that it upset so many people about that that video of Book of Boobaloo, as I always like to call that show. That it's upset so many people, and then people unfollowed, and then of course they came back, and that's how YouTube works. But it was just funny, the Tuscan Raiders video. I thought that was hilarious. I agreed with all of it. It's just you just double down on the nonsense that goes on Twitter or social media in general.
Yeah.
We got blasted for that.
I know. I remember.
Blasted.
The thing, so Nick will tell you, I was very sensitive to criticism on social media
Mhm.
because I just truthfully, I spent my career as a high school basketball coach, and I had a lot of success, and then I had a lot of failures as well. I had a both. I did it all. I won and I lost big. Like I did it all. Okay. And there was some years where I had a lot of criticism and a lot of problems, an inordinate amount of problems from parents and administrators and things like that. And I became sensitive to what people said. Well, and I got out of coaching and we started this YouTube channel and it just followed me here. So in the beginning, I was like very sensitive to it. Now it bounces right off of me. Like now I laugh.
Yeah, coach would be calling me, going, "Man, did you see this comment?" And he would just be like depressed.
Yeah, I would be like staying awake at night about it.
And I'm like, dude, who gives a shit?
But the thing is, the thing is, man, social media, people are so mean.
Oh, they are.
And let's just, I'll go even further. There's a lot of people that are just straight up evil.
Yeah, they should call it anti-social media, right?
They will do things just to. The only reason they're there is to hate you, you know. And once you understand, like the last video I did, I'm talking like this, and I'm like, "Hey guys, so this is what happened, and what do you think about this?" And people are commenting on the video like, "Oh, you're so full of hate." I'm like, "Do I sound like I'm full of hate? Like, what are you talking about?" You know, it's just.
I know my wife still wishes I talked like you, so I'm trying to learn how to talk to Coach.
Oh no! Wow.
My wife likes it when I'm quiet.
I just want to say that Baron, that little critter right there, is the smartest out of all 6 of us here.
Yeah, I agree, and he does too.
So let me ask you guys this. And I'm going to fast forward just a little bit because this is important because you guys are a Star Wars channel. Let's talk about what I call the dark times, the real dark times. Disney buying Star Wars and how we are at a place where Star Wars isn't Star Wars for a lot of people.
I remember the day the news broke. Like Eddie said, or like Coach said a second ago.
Okay.
When something would happen in Star Wars news related, we'd always call each other. So when the news broke, I called him. Like it was either a call or a text because I was at work and I was like, dude, Disney just bought Star Wars. They're doing a sequel trilogy and the original cast is coming back. You know, and that was at the height of the MCU at that point in time. So for me, myself, and I think I could speak for a large majority of the fan base. People were excited.
My mind was blown.
People were like, holy shit. Freaking a sequel trilogy with Han, Luke, Leia, all them. And Disney's going to be doing it. It's not going to be George Lucas doing it because a lot of people at the time felt he ruined Star Wars with the prequels. I was one of those people. I was just like, George is kind of, he's a different beast now than he was way back in the day when he created Star Wars, and it's just not the same. And so now we're going to get people that maybe understand Star Wars a little bit better and actually going to give us something that we want. Little did we know at the time it was going to be even worse than what George did with the prequels. So we were pumped and excited, and then of course, you know, everybody here knows the story. You know, we got the movies; they were what they were, and we are where we are now with things, and it's kind of been a disaster.
We started our
May of '87.
Wow,
talk about foreshadowing.
Yeah.
Oh, Starlog.
Yeah, Star
Trek. Yep. And that when Disney bought Star Wars, this is exactly that cover came to mind right away.
I used to buy a lot of those Starlog magazines back in the day. simpler times when we would get our news at the newsstand. You
I can
know,
star log with you.
Coach has got a stack of stuff.
Did you break
I can-
out? Did,
I can
did you
star
rob-
log
did
with
you
you
rob
guys.
the newsstand?
Right there.
Check this out. Number 1.
There it is. Yeah.
Okay, okay, fine. You gonna play that game, Coach?
dick measuring contest time.
Yep.
There it is.
Oh yeah. he's got-
Okay. All right, Baron. Number 2.
Nope, don't got that one.
Number 3.
Nope.
I could do this all night. Number 4.
Oh, I know you could.
Number 5.
In short, he's got the whole run of 1 through what?
Number 6.
100 or something.
Here you go. Here it is. It's the one you're waiting for. Bam.
Here we go.
Nice. Nice
That is
condition,
how-
too.
Yeah, I've got like the first 80 issues.
Yeah.
I love them.
Oh,
love
so
'em.
you didn't get? Did you get that one?
I did not.
Oh,
There, I'm redeemed now. I'm redeemed.
You are redeemed.
Cody found one. Coach didn't have it.
But back to the question. We're in a Star Wars is in a weird spot, and it seems to keep spiraling slowly further and further down the drain.
I would agree. I would say, if we were to compare it, Doctor Who is dead. I'm sorry, I don't see any way of bringing Doctor Who back or getting their fans, or even a majority of their fans back. I just don't think it's possible. I don't think Star Wars is there, but I think Star Wars is now at a place where it's a slow and painful death.
Yeah.
So I'll tell
It's
you,
like
Phil.
the Titanic. You know it's going to sink. There are no more lifeboats, and you're just going to try to stay high and dry as long as you can till the boat's out from underneath you.
There was when we started our channel 4 years ago, we were right in the middle of the bad what's going on, with Star Wars, and we didn't know really what to do with our channel. Do we want to talk about lore? Do we want to talk about the news? Well, the news isn't good. I'm really getting tired of reporting on all this negative stuff. Can I please talk about something that I like? Like it was a pain. And then so many people are leaving Star Wars, leaving. And we've heard so much that Star Wars is dead. And then when Nick and I went to the theater, I did it. We went to the cinema. When we went to the theater. Sorry, I say theater and people ride my ass about it. When we went to the movies and saw Return of the Jedi 2 weeks ago, it made me realize that Star Wars will never die. Not George Lucas Star Wars. Disney Star Wars could very well die if they don't fix it and change it. And then I realized, as Nick and I continue to talk, and we've been about this for a long time now, but now I could actually articulate it and say it. So I started saying, Echo Base Network, where we hold Lucasfilm accountable and demand the return of great Star Wars. It may never happen, and it probably won't, but it's worth trying. And as long as people are watching our videos and hearing us out, then it's worth it. It's worth it.
I'm one of them people. I ended with Star Wars with George Lucas' Star Wars. After everything that went down with the Book of Boba Fett, Obi-Wan, and I know a lot of people like Endor. my issue is not that I didn't like some of the things about Endor, but why did they tell us when the Book of Boba Fett come out, no one can die, they didn't want no deaths, yet the very first episode, Endor is allowed to do a headshot and kill somebody, but Boba Fett can't. You know, my mentality there is like, is there two different Star Wars? Is there the Lucas Star Wars and
for sure,
the Disney Star Wars? If that's the case, I can stay happy in the George Lucas
absolutely
Star Wars. You know, I have the EU. I love the EU. I don't. Let me be as nice as I possibly can. I don't hate anybody for liking the sequel trilogy. I don't hate anybody for liking anything that Disney has put out with Star Wars. But for me, when I heard Disney was buying Star Wars, I start thinking, not that they were bad movies, Disney really didn't have the track record with science fiction or live action. Because remember, they came off that bomb of John Carter. You know, that was a major bomb.
John Carter. Wow.
I forgot about that movie.
You know,
Yeah, it's probably a good thing.
The only live action that I can give Disney props to, and it was unintentional, was Pirates of the Caribbean. That's it. And I'm a child of the 70s. Sunday night you had one of the last things you watched was Disney late at night, and then that was it. Their TV went off the air. We didn't have 24-hour television.
Nope.
Particularly definitely on Sunday night.
Yeah.
But when you look at Disney and you look at especially their science fiction, I know a lot of people like Tron, but Tron wasn't a major success. I know a lot of people like The Black Hole, but that was not a major success.
No.
True. No.
And do you count what was that, Space Mountain? I know it was very popular with some people, but I wouldn't call it a success. So I was kind of worried there. And, I still don't think Disney has a clue what to do with science fiction in particular. They don't have a clue.
Well, and I think they've doubled down on that messaging by calling their live action series being so different from each other, right? A smorgasbord of content, like a buffet, right? And I'm like, okay, yeah. So maybe you're retroactively making an analogy that works, but it's difficult to understand why you wouldn't want to have a little bit more cohesion around these series, because it was so easy in the beginning. There was only The Mandalorian season 1, right? And then there was, then there was only The Mandalorian season 1 and season 2, right? And then is when it sort of started going off the proverbial cliff a little bit, when they continue to branch out from there with the Book of Boba Fett and some of the things that we've gotten subsequently. Now, when you compare the history of the live action stuff, even then layering in the movies as well, it really reinforces the fact that they don't have a visionary of any kind really trying to tell a consistent story.
So I've got a little story about, what happened. So if you go back to the mid 80s, there was a very successful franchise that had been around for about 10-ish years, and it was no longer having the kind of success that it once did. And the creator of that franchise was afraid it was on its way out. His name was Jim Henson. And Jim Henson made moves to sell the Muppets to Disney. Now we're talking about 1986, right in there. He was going to sell the Muppets to Disney because he believed that at that time nobody was more capable of reviving that franchise and making it last forever. Well, that was 1986. Over the decades, Disney changed. You know, Jim Henson passes away about 6 years later. But go back to 1986. Who was Jim Henson really close with and very good friends with? George Lucas. And that seed was planted in Lucas's mind as well. And Lucas never changed his thinking.
Yeah.
It was always, Disney's the only people that can buy this. They're the only people that can carry this on. And he never thought about, or never realized, I don't think, what could happen to it. It's been so damaged. And I honestly do believe that he cared about it enough, and he was rich enough, and he was wealthy enough. He didn't have to sell anything. He did not have to sell Star Wars in Lucasfilm. He had enough money to never work another day in his life, you know, and still be extremely rich. So I just don't think that he realized how damaged it would be, and I really don't think he would have sold it if he had known. I hope not.
He could have held on to creative control. But that was something Iger admit that was part of the deal selling and him buying, was he didn't want George Lucas to have creative control. So I wish he would have at least kept the creative control over Star Wars. You know, yes, they can do this. No, they can't do that. I would have been fine. But I don't think Star Wars has that person that can say, yes, you can do this. No, you can't do that. And I don't care how much power Kathleen Kennedy has. I don't see her as a Star Wars fan.
No, I don't think she is.
Personally,
No,
how
she doesn't
can
know
you
Star Wars.
How can you like Star Wars and hate Luke Skywalker? And it's obvious they hate Luke Skywalker. Look, let's be honest. Star Wars, when you watch the original trilogy and you get a feel for it, it's King Arthur in reverse. It's King Arthur, end of his story is he fights his son. And rather than see his son do evil and bring evil, King Arthur was willing to take out his own son, which ended up taking him out as well. Well, that's kind of a reverse of what George Lucas did with Luke and Vader. The thing that we all loved was everybody's telling Luke he has to kill his father. And Luke's like, no, I don't have to do that. And he doesn't. And his own father was the one who ends up saving him. You know, it was beautiful. That moment, I don't think in cinema, even to this day, unless you're watching something like Jesus of Nazareth or Charlton Heston playing Moses, I will put that as a big three right behind them too. You know?
And forgive me here, because I'm going to take off because Pacific414 and I had an agreement. I'd be here for the first half hour, and he'll come in for this last half hour. So, Coach Nick, great talking to the guys, and I'm still waiting for my paycheck from the Moff up there because he's bought all our networks. So,
Text in the mail. Text in the mail.
Okay, great. So,
thank you.
Okay,
Take care,
Aaron.
Aaron.
Good to see you, buddy.
take care, everybody. And you're next, Pacific.
So I was just wanted to ask you, first of all, Nick, I have to say, I never thought I was going to start hating Omega as much as you. And then
One of the worst characters ever.
in season 2, Rekka, where are you, Rekka?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, just please, just give me a, just
I
let me
skipped
bang my
season
head on
2
something.
minus 2 episodes. I watched 2 episodes of season 2, and episode 12 of season 2 was one of the best animated Star Wars episodes I've ever seen ever. It was so well done. But the series as a whole is is just not very good to me, and I really cannot stand that Omega character.
You know what I'm afraid of? I'm afraid the way me and you both kind of see that. So you dislike it more than me. I can tolerate it. But I'm afraid the Acolyte is going to be so bad we can't even watch it.
Yeah.
You really think so?
Yeah.
That's gonna be that. Could
Some
be
of the
a rough-
articles that I read today, yeah.
Well, I'm going to get the Empire. A lot of those come from the Empire. It's coming out tomorrow, so I'll pick us up a digital copy. And because I also read some interesting things that Headland has said in that Empire article about just some things. I won't spoil it here because I think you'll have a field day with the video related to some of her comments about representation and sort of what she's hoping to accomplish.
I was adding articles today. If you didn't notice that,
yeah, I saw some there, but we'll get a copy of that.
Like the Keen Girl is apparently a bispecies. There's some interesting,
and we got a lot of this crap at Celebration from the Acolyte panels and the actors and actresses that are in that show.
Yeah,
it's going to be just complete woke garbage.
I don't want there to be a live action Star Wars show that I can't even review and talk about because we just can't stomach watching it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that's not going to be a good place.
That's where I was on Bad Batch season 2. Before season 2 dropped, I called Coach and was like, "Dude, I can't do Bad Batch season 2."
I think we're going to eat our Wheaties and we're going to make ourselves watch it. And if it's horrible, we're just going to crap all over it.
Oh yeah, I'm going to have fun with the Acolyte.
There was a TV show that came out right after Star Wars. For other people, you call it A New Hope, but it came on television. It was called Battlestar Galactica.
I love BSG.
That it was the most. I mean, as a kid, after Star Wars, as a TV show, I love Battlestar Galactica.
I watched it with my dad,
and
when
without being hammered and without being forced down our throats, we had diversity. The original Colonel Ty was African American. Boomer was African American. They are on in future episodes. You had women flying the Vipers, white and black, but you didn't sit there and say, "Oh, there's a black woman in the Viper. Oh, Boomer's black." We could care less. We just had a great that one season. It was only one season. That one season was one of the best science fiction we had on television. And they had diversity and inclusive. Done the right way. You know,
and they did a really good job on the reboot, I thought.
Yeah.
I
like the reboot a lot.
I enjoy the reboot.
I still lean towards the original. I end up liking the reboot, but I still love the original.
James Edward Olmos as Adama is one of my favorite sci-fi characters of all
Phil, it's funny because the original was actually filmed. It was actually filmed at the same college that I graduated from. It just makes me laugh.
Don't forget, George Lucas was suing the creators of Battlestar Galactica because claiming they were stealing his ideas from Star Wars.
They did
up until the Japanese owners of Star Blazers stepped in and said, "Well, you stole a lot of our ideas, in particularly the Comet Empire and the Death Star. A lot of similarities there, a lot. And remember, Star Blazers is older than Star Wars."
Here we go.
Star Blazers.
I had to do my Star Blazers. Still ain't watched.
Hell no.
The movie.
He had to bring it up.
I had
to know.
Happen. It was gonna happen.
Star Blazers, Coach. Star Blazers.
Back to something we talked about earlier. Rissman has a tail. Anytime you say something he disagrees with, he puts his head down like this.
It's true. That is true.
Have I been doing that a lot tonight? Have I been doing that a lot?
It's every time. He puts his head straight down. It's like a moment of thought. He's like, "I disagree with that shit." And then he pops his head back up. I love it.
I want to ask you three something. I don't know about you guys, but I have the last year. I have seriously become heavily addicted in watching fan-made Star Wars. And there's quite a lot of very good Star Wars out there that has nothing to do with Disney Star Wars. And I'm wondering if out of you three, have any of you guys watched any of the fan-made Star Wars on YouTube?
I've seen some of it out there.
I am so limited on my time. It's real. I really struggle to watch things. I watched obviously the official Star Wars stuff that comes out, and like, there's so much that I have not seen and enjoyed and appreciated. Like Nick's taking me through Deep Space Nine, slowly but surely. I am now watching a new show on Apple TV called Silo. I really like it so far.
I thought they did a good job with Silo. Yeah,
we're only 2 episodes in right now, but I'm really digging it.
Based on a book, right?
I got coached through Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul too.
See, like I had never watched those. Hell, 4 years ago, I had never seen Game of Thrones. And Nick was like, "Dude, now I've watched it 3 times all the way through."
Just don't watch the last season. And
there's so much that I haven't watched, and I just don't have the time doing the channel and playing disc golf the way that I do, and having a wife and 2 kids, and being a full-time educator, and like, there's just not enough time, you know. And now, The Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom comes out tomorrow night at 11:00, and
dude, I'm telling you,
that's going to take my time too.
I'm gonna find that collector's edition, whatever it takes. I don't want to pay $70 for the base game.
I hear you.
Speaking of games, I want to give you props, Coach, because I'll never forget that day. You bought Elden Ring. You played it for 5 minutes, and you're like, refund.
I heard all about that.
I'm out.
Give it a chance again, Coach. Give it a chance, man.
Nope. Yeah. I know.
It's just a lot of repetition.
Know thyself.
Well, speaking of games, I have a question for Coach. You started playing Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Because Nick was quit bitching.
All right. Yeah. Well, my question is, come summertime, are we going to see more Final Fantasy VII Remake?
No way. And the main reason for that, I'll tell you, is Zelda, Diablo 4.
I knew Diablo, yeah.
And that's the thing. It's like, it's just like TV, okay? It's just like watching shows and movies. Time is precious. Nick's the same way.
Yeah.
I don't want to spend anything. I don't want to spend any time on something that I enjoy marginally.
Yeah.
I want it to be something I like. If I start watching a show and I'm not in it, I'm out. I bounce. I'm not going to suffer through it. You know, I'll go find something that I want to watch, something that I love. You know,
same.
Silo's doing it for me right now. I'm really liking it. You know, what was that? Ozark. I love that show.
I never watched Ozark.
Yeah, Ozark is great.
One of the best things I've ever watched. So good.
So good.
And it was a genre that... Go ahead.
Because you want to be able to, invest your time into something that once you start watching it, by the time it's over, you want more.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yep.
So Final Fantasy VII just didn't pull me in. I appreciate Nick buying it for me. I really, it's the same as Jedi
Fallen Order.
Thank you. I can never remember the name of that game.
You were miserable watching you play that game. You were
the chat bought it for me.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
it's nice.
And so it was super nice, and I really appreciated it. And every time I played it, there would be like 50 people there watching me play a game, which is nuts to me. And I sucked, by the way.
You were miserable sucking.
I was miserable. I was miserable every second of it.
Right?
It felt like when my sister set me down at the kitchen table when I was 4 years old and force fed me spinach.
Yeah,
and I was pissed. You know,
you don't play on easy mode. That's important. You don't play on easy mode.
I
don't say anything.
I know how you are about all that.
Money plays everything on easy mode.
Depends on the game.
Yeah, there's some people in this community who play on easy mode, and they're gonna get what's coming to them. No, I'm kidding, but yeah. So, Coach and Nick, I had a question. Do you think that with some of your videos or even some of your content that just streamers in general and you guys especially, that you spend a bit too much time talking about some of these people from Disney, that if we didn't talk about them as much or you guys didn't talk about them, then they might go away somehow? They wouldn't. Or do you think it's important to bring it more to the attention of other people?
I feel it's more important to bring it to the attention of other people, because the thing is, I mean, you can put your head in the sand and ignore it, but the problem's still there. So not talking about it really isn't going to do anything. If enough people are talking about it, like if you look at the Anheuser-Busch fiasco going on right now, if people just didn't say anything about it and just never talked about it, people would still be buying it. It wouldn't even be an issue. But the thing is, people did talk about it, and they forced Anheuser-Busch to start changing. They've already fired multiple people involved in that marketing thing. Basically, the Star Wars fans that are upset with Disney talk about it and watch the stuff, for such as me and Coach, watch the stuff and review it and give our opinions on it, to try to either praise when they're doing something good, like this is what we want, like this is good, give us more of this, or this sucks, you don't know what the hell you're doing, this is bad, stop what you're doing and rethink. So are they going to actually listen to us? Who knows? But the thing is, if we don't ever even try, they definitely won't ever hear us.
So I think Anheuser-Busch, especially with the Bud Light fiasco, is getting their version of what Coke did back in the day.
Yeah, with new Coke.
People can change a corporation.
Yes.
Coke found out the hard way. Anheuser-Busch right now is finding out the hard way. And I think if enough people said, look, I mean, if you want to people want to still give Disney Star Wars a chance, be my guest. But if it starts looking like it's going into the Doctor Who area, and you want to try to save it, the only way is to take a stand and hurt them in their pocketbook.
Yeah.
So I'll preface this.
They understand.
And just real quick, I just want to make this point. The investors' call for Disney was today, and they just shedded another 400 million subscribers in the second straight quarterly. So they are getting, they're losing people. People are out there voicing their opinions. They're losing people. Either they're going to drive it into the trash heap and completely burn it to the ground, and are pretty much forced to either sell it or forced to change, or they're going to course correct before that. But one way or another, they're not looking good right now.
No.
So can I respond to that as well?
Yeah, of course.
What is happening with and look, some of you may disagree with what I'm about to say, and I typically don't say this on EBN. I don't typically go here, but you asked the question, so I'll answer it here. What is happening with Star Wars is indicative of a much larger issue in our country. There is a culture war that's happening.
Yes, I agree with that.
And if woke agenda, identity, SJW politics, they want us to stop talking about it because that's a form of appeasement. That is a win for them. If we stop going against the grain and calling out what they're doing, they win, because those people are not going to go away. So we have to push back. We have to fight back. So that's exactly why we started saying things like, and we will hold Lucasfilm accountable, and we will demand the return of great Star Wars. I'm not saying that I think Star Wars should come out and say, vote for Donald Trump. I am not saying that at all. I don't. Be right down the middle and tell me a great story.
Right. Right. Yeah.
And this is a topic. This is a topic I've also kind of waffled on a bit, candidly, in regards to giving it oxygen, not giving it oxygen. And I think on Coach's point and Nick's as well, it's really, I think, how you choose to address it that makes the difference. And that's kind of why I found myself attracted to EBN's content and have stuck around, all this time and wanted to help even more, because for me, the way it's positioned and the way it's discussed is very respectful. And I know the comments don't always bear that out, right, Coach? And the nonsense that is on Twitter and all those things that is really not real, even though it's really, you know what I mean by that, right?
Sure,
I mean, obviously people are typing those things.
I'm a cyberbully now.
But it's not really representative of much of anything other than, people who have a lot of time on their hands and like to type. It's where I think it becomes, for me, where it becomes tiresome or too heavy in some cases is other places out there address it in ways that I find disagreeable. And guess what? I just don't consume that content.
Right.
Well,
And
a lot of places aren't open to another point of view, and they're not open to a discussion. And if you're not open to a discussion, then you're silencing people. And I can't think of anything more evil to do to anybody than that.
yeah, it's terrible. And then on the other side of it, it's like, oh, how could you go watch that? Like Guardians of the Galaxy 3, what's wrong with you? Why would you watch that? Why do you like Rick and Morty? And like that stuff doesn't help either, Coach. It's just crazy.
So what's interesting is you guys just asked a few minutes ago, where are you, like, in terms of, do you want to be quiet about it? Or so we get attacked on our own channel when we do a Star Wars content, or like we were attacked by people in the comments and even in our live stream because we went and watched Return of the Jedi. You're giving them money. You're supporting Disney. You bought the poster. When are you going to start practicing what you preach? And I'm like, bro, I was very open and honest about it. I went and watched a George Lucas Star Wars movie knowing full well my money went to Disney and the movie theaters. But, I'm very open and honest about that. And here's why I'm doing it, because that's a very rare opportunity that's very very worth it for me. Now, and the thing is like when Star Wars comes out with a movie or a show that is trash, rather than ignore it, we're going to call them out. And we know, and I'm not, guys, I am not saying this with like, look at us, like, look what it is not about that. But we know that Jon Favreau has watched our channel. We know that Mark Hamill has watched our channel. We know, where do you think they go to get fans' comments and thoughts? Social media.
Yep.
They're looking too. So I want to be heard.
And what do you say? It's better to
George Lucas.
What up, George? Love you, man.
Well, I just want to say, if they say stuff like that to you, Coach, remember this. The two biggest stock owners of Disney, Steven Spielberg, and number 2, George Lucas. Mm-hmm. So when you went there, some form of fashion, you still gave your money to George Lucas, which I would say it's a good thing. It's a good thing. So, and how can you say to people that went to go see Return of the Jedi in the movie theater with probably kids that never saw Return of the Jedi
100%.
in the theater?
100%.
It was so great, and like we hear it every week. You're supporting them. Just stop talking about it. Me and Nick are like, bruh, we have a Star Wars channel.
Yeah.
What do you want us to talk about? You want us to end our channel because Star Wars isn't good for you right now? What?
Let me ask you guys this question. When you hear opposing points of view on whether a TV show is good or a TV show is bad, and same with movies or games, isn't it better to watch it for yourself and make your own opinion on it?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah, always.
And at the end of the day, you got to remember that all forms of entertainment and stuff like that, it's all subjective. I like Iron Eagle more than the original Top Gun. A A lot of people probably don't have that viewpoint. I like the Ewok movies. A lot of people probably don't have that.
Oh, that's
view.
a hot. That's a hot.
I can see the Iron Eagle, man, but the Ewok movies,
Yeah.
oh, brother.
I grew up watching them as a kid, so I would sit down and watch them right now, and I would enjoy it from start to finish.
I did
but
like the droid cartoons that came out at the same time.
I couldn't do the droid or the Ewoks cartoons. I wasn't a fan of those. But yeah, at the end of the day, you know, if there's people out there that like the sequels, there's people out there that liked the Book of Boba Fett, Obi-Wan, fake Kenobi, and Reva. So there's always going to be people that are just going to consume whatever Star Wars that Disney throws out there, and they're going to just automatically love it. You know, Star Wars Santa, who's a friend of ours, is one of those type of people. You know, and we have a good relationship with him, and we like Star Wars Santa, and he loves Rey. You know, from the sequels.
Yes.
But so there's always going to be those people out there. But I think, you know, I think Disney needs to look at the vast majority of people. That's not the vast majority. The vast majority are not liking a lot of what Disney's doing. You know, bringing in Jack Black and Lizzo and Mando and stuff like that. It's just it's comical and ridiculous, and they've
Gimmicks,
literally
man.
turned it into a joke.
When I was 11 years old, my mother took me shopping, and she let me pick out a T-shirt. And I picked out a Michael Jordan T-shirt. And I was big into basketball, man. I loved basketball. There were times in my life where I loved basketball more than Star Wars. And I went home, and my dad came home from work, and I showed him my T-shirt. And my dad was like, well, that's fine. He said, but Larry Bird is your favorite player. And I said, yeah. And he said, so why'd you buy a Michael Jordan shirt? And I said, because everybody else has Michael Jordan shirts. And he said, well, why do you give a piss what everybody else has? Why don't you get what you want?
Right.
And I said, and I was like, I was 11 years old. I was like, damn, that makes sense.
Right.
So every
Larry Bird shirt.
no, I went back and got it. I took the Jordan shirt back and got a Larry Bird shirt, and from that moment on, I have cared very little about what other people like. I like what I like. I don't care if you like it or not. You know, like I'm not supposed to like what you like. I like what I like because I'm me.
By the way, Coach, I had a physical education teacher in elementary school who alleged, I was never able to confirm this, but who alleged that he taught Larry Bird.
Oh, interesting. Valley Springs High School.
Yeah, I think
French Lick, Indiana.
Yeah, he had. So this Mr. Tahan was his name. I was living in Jersey at the time, and yeah, he was originally from Midwest.
Did you say that word?
I just figured, Phil.
Look, we in Delaware stand on guard on the river to keep that
Here we
word
go.
there.
Here we go.
We give our lives so your land stays safe. But
Phil just doesn't like to own up to the fact that he's a Yankee. It's okay, Phil.
Right.
Where you living at, Yankee? You're living in the South. Remember that. And just so you know, Coach, that's just a little banter me and Matt Rissman had.
Oh, I can tell. I can tell.
We won't even go to where he starts doing that John Denver stuff.
Oh, you know you love him. You love him.
So I know time's getting short. What would you three guys like to say that you want to see in the future for EBN and for yourselves when it comes to YouTube?
I'm ready if y'all aren't.
Go.
Nick? He might have
He wants to sleep.
He's there.
So I can retire in 6 years, and I have so much fun doing YouTube. I mean, I work on it every day in some form or fashion. I might not do a video every day, but I'm working on something every day, and I really enjoy it. It's very fulfilling to me, And in 6 years when I retire, I would love to position ourselves where Nick and I could do it on a full-time basis and do it every single day, where we're making videos and we're doing a live show every, Monday through Friday kind of deal. That would be like a dream to be able to do that. But also it being, and I'm not saying I want to get rich off YouTube, but I'm going to have to be able to supplement my income when I retire. My paycheck will be cut in half. So if I could supplement it with that, then that's what I would do. And that would be great for me. We've got another. We don't just have Echo Base Network. We're about to really.
I was going to say the Echo Base Entertainment, I think, is where the channel is trying to go. So
Echo Base Entertainment is everything else that's not Star Wars, and it's also some Star Wars. So Marvel or Tron or Final Fantasy or whatever we want to talk about, that's our sandbox. Echo Base Network is a Star Wars channel, and so I am looking forward to getting over there and doing a lot more with Nick on Echo Base Entertainment. But that being said, Star Wars is always going to be my first and biggest love, and nothing else can compete with it. So my heart is always going to be right there on our main channel, so we'll just see what happens.
I had to answer a work call. I was here. I was just talking on the phone.
We all know who's the power behind EBN and everything. It's the Rissman base network.
Oh yeah,
he's buying everything on YouTube to put it under. He's Ted Turner. He's the new Ted Turner.
No, I mean, I just like to read. I've always liked. My father was a voracious reader, right? So I was raised in a reading household, and so I'm out there reading all sorts of stuff and finding little nuggets. And when I find them, we have a Google Doc that's going 24/7. Right, you can look at it right now. It's loaded up with articles. I'm always joking with Coach. I was like, I got a juicy article. It's out there. And so we use those for the daily videos. They get used on the chill stream. We use them in the Saturday show. So
we use them all the time.
It's just, for me, it's all about reading. And someone said on this stream a couple of times, forming your own opinion based upon what you read. Mm-hmm. And then sharing things you find interesting with other folks, right? It's really what it's all about.
Me and Rissman, it's like there's a big, huge, long table. It's blank. There's nothing on it. On Sunday morning, it's blank. And then a few days later, we're constantly put like, here's the meatloaf, here's the mac and cheese, here's the steaks, here's the fries, here's the hush puppies, here's the coleslaw. And we just fill that table up with every good, juicy thing we could find. And we have so much to choose from to do every show that we do. There's so much that we could talk about. And that's why we have like a little, here are the minor things that's happening that nobody else is talking about.
And we can't even get all of it.
No, we can't even get through it all. That's exactly right. And the thing is me and Nick talk about this and other people too. Like, if you're doing, there's nothing worse than doing a live stream when you run out of things to say.
Right.
And you're just sitting there like, so.
And the chat's like, oh boy, it gets hot. That seat gets hot. My heart's pumping. It's better to be over planned, over prepared than under prepared any day of the week with anything, so that's my 2 cents on that.
That right,
somebody in the chat
today.
Somebody in the chat brings something up, and you're like, "Hey, I have that." I'm sorry, Phil. Go.
Oh, I was saying pineapple on pizza can't be beat.
I'm personally a big I like pineapple on pizza.
Nick
I hate it.
Orders Papa John's with extra cheese and jalapenos.
Yeah,
and that's the pizza.
For me, it's extra cheese, extra sauce.
Yeah, I get extra sauce too.
Jalapenos and pineapple. So we're very close, Nick, except mine includes the pineapple.
No pineapple for me, but the other is good.
I even had pineapple, peaches, and then after it's been cooked, thin slices of watermelon.
On pizza?
On pizza, yes.
Wow.
And it was pretty darn good.
Like a fruit
It sweetened the sauce, you know. It didn't help the cheese out that much.
No, I would imagine not.
I like pineapple, just not on pizza.
A lot of people are very anti-pineapple on pizza. I get it.
I like pineapple.
I'm full-blooded Italian. Can you imagine the hate I get for mentioning pineapple on pizza? They hate me.
I'm more of a stuffed crust kind of guy than.
Oh yeah, give me that cheese in the crust. Absolutely.
Stuffed crust with cheese and pepperoni is so
bad.
good.
Yes.
Y'all are killing me, man. I don't. My fat butt don't need to go eat nothing.
I was gonna say now I want a pizza.
Well, I know it's late, and I know our time is almost up. Is there any final thoughts for Matt, Coach Nick? Any final thoughts?
Thanks for the invite, bringing us on here. This was a fun conversation. Definitely have to do it again in the future. And Phil, if you didn't see, we freaking stream sniped Prince Jayzow and helped him out this last Saturday night. It was pretty good.
Oh yeah, that is, you know, I joke around, and I, you know, when I go in there, I say hi, and I ask if the crazy EBN boy's been in your channel. You know, I do that all the time. You know.
So I'll just say that this was fun, and you know, we don't do this a lot. Nick does it all the time. I don't do this a lot. It's hard for me, but this was important for me to do this with you. I miss you, Phil, when you're not around, man. I really do. I mean that. I mean that very honestly. You make
liven up
things,
the chat.
You do.
I try.
I always. It always perks me up when I see you in chat and when you're around. And when I don't see you for several weeks, I miss you, man. So
I'll be honest. A lot of time it's because I ain't been feeling well the last couple of weeks, but I do try to get there. And if I'm not there, you know, I'm there in spirit. But I love you guys, and
we love you, man.
You, Nick, and Matt, I would say when it comes to YouTube, you guys inspired a lot of people. You guys helped a lot of people, and if it wasn't for you guys, I wouldn't. Well, you remember this was a surprise for me to get this channel. I never had no plans.
That was Paul.
Yeah.
But if it wasn't for you guys and, you know, coming out there and getting me to do this, you know, I wouldn't be here. Yeah. You know, and if it wasn't for Matt Rissman dragging me into Echo Base Network, pull me in.
I did it.
If anybody wants to blame anybody, it's Matt Rissman's fault. Matt Rissman brought me into Echo Base.
That is true.
This is far better than anything John Graber could ever do.
Oh, let's not even mention that. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, and if you guys, you know, Matt, Nick, and Coach, if you guys ever want to join some of our watch parties, like Phil's in there and Crit's in there, and other people and stuff, you know,
if time permits.
Stuff, yeah.
But
yeah, I mean, I haven't been in your guys' chats in a while, but I'm lurking here and there. And if I'm not lurking, I'm sure Matt Rissman will be like, "Where are you, Cash? You're not around."
I'll call you out. I'll call you out.
He'll call me out.
Well, Rissman's always there.
Just remember, Nick and Coach,
he's everywhere.
I'm the only person on YouTube that managed to get the hooligans together 2 times in less than 5 minutes. I am proud of that. I got the hooligans.
That up. Matt and I are again soon. We're going to do a discussion stream on the Phantom Hooligans. Is a channel that I've been building, but Matt wanted to be a hooligan a while back, and I was happy to have him as a co-host. So
that's awesome. That is awesome.
Well, I want to thank you guys.
Again, Phil. Thanks for having us.
Thank you guys very much. Thanks
it's been a blast.
Cash, to Mike, and to Baron, and thank everybody for coming into the chat. This makes my month. I only stream a live stream once a month, but this one here is very special because you 3 guys, you know, when I was sick, even worse than I am now, you guys gave me the courage and the ability to say, keep on pulling through. I'll make it. Yeah. I know you guys never mentioned it, and I never mentioned my personal illness or anything on here. And I always appreciate, Coach, you know, a little bit, but it meant a lot. It meant a lot to me. And for you guys to be here and everybody to be here. I don't have the words but to say thank you. Thank you guys.
Well, we're happy to see you doing well, man, and we love you.
Absolutely.
And you keep doing your thing, homie.
Yep.
Thank you. Well, everybody, thank you all for being here, and have a wonderful night. Goodbye, and I
Bye,
hate
all.
you all.
The
Bye, guys.
Kraken has been released.
It has, yes.